Creativity is in figuring out how to do something once I know what I'm going to do. And Theo, the wood turner, did a demo of this project for Record Power Tools, and that's how it came about. Now today's demo is going to be actually a double demo per se, because we're going to make a bowl, and then I'm also going to do the 3 legs. I did this demo about 4 years ago, and I went through the bottom. It wasn't a cube, it was just a 3-legged bowl, but I went through the bottom. So I do want to mention something. Okay, so Rick says I do a lot of turning. I do a lot of turning. I'm a professional wood crafter, meaning I sell stuff. I don't make a living at it, but I can say that my wood turning and wood crafting hasn't cost a household a dime in a little bit of time. So I was doing this bowl earlier this week, last week. No, this week. I think it was this week. Whatever. Last week. Whatever. And I was on a very final stage of sanding, and I was doing some reverse sanding, and the chuck unscrewed and went flying, and bango. Needless to say, there was a few choice words, but I was tickled pink at the uniformity and the wall thickness. So I use grub screws almost religiously, but not as religiously as I should have. My turning is a little different than how a lot of people do it. I'm a tool maker by trade, so I use a lot of my working experience relative to my turning. So I'm not as efficient as doing it as people that are really good at it, but I get it done. Okay, and it's not how you do it, it's the end result in the bottom line. So if you scrape through the whole thing but it looks marvelous, who cares? Okay? I've been recently watching a lot of Richard Raffin YouTube. He's got a YouTube channel, and it's marvelous stuff. And it made me feel good about a lot of the approaches I do, because I do quite a bit of scraping. Okay. So I could do a really big block, but the way that I'm going to do this, I'm going to try to do this with what you all have for equipment. I make a tremendous amount of stuff to make it look like I know what I'm doing. Okay? I really do make a lot of stuff. And in reality, if I were going to do this bowl actually by myself with nobody here, I would probably use some of the things I make, which is better holding capability. But basically, all that is done here. These are all made from cubes. Now, this is not a really efficient use of material. It's really not. It just makes something that's pretty unique. Okay? And the way that this is done is it's held between centers. But you have to have a tailstock center with a inverted cone. So this is a one-way live center, and I popped out the center cone on it. Okay, so when I go to do this, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to establish a tenon, okay, on one end, so that way I can hold it in a chuck. And then I'll probably do something like that on the second side, and then I'll get to deciding what I'm doing. Okay. With so much of the stuff that I do, I go back and forth. I'm not like Richard Raffin, where he just does it, gets it done, and goes. When I do twice turned bowls, I semi-true up the outside of the bowls just so it's semi-round, get it mounted, and then I concentrate on the inside of the bowl. Then I go back and I finish the outside afterwards. Okay, so my approach is different. If we're fortunate today, everything will stay at the lathe. I have a fan blowing here, and I apologize, but you may get some shavings on you. Now I get a little nervous because now there's a bunch of people here. When I'm by myself, it's bam, 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 and everything's all set and good to go. So I'm going to just do some blasting away. I'm not going to explain what I'm doing. I'm just going to go and do it. Okay. I use push cuts. I use pull cuts. I use shear scraping. You know. I just get done. Now the thing is that I don't have what you call brand name tools. Majority of my gouges and stuff I made, or they're Benjamin's Best from Penn State Industries or whatever. And I'm actually using basically a bottom feeder gouge, but Richard Raffin has this thing about having a, what do they call it? The gouge isn't asymmetrical or whatever, and I've been playing with it, and I'm getting so I actually like it. Now, bottom feeder mean this is about a 55-degree angle. Okay, my normal bowl gouges are at 45 degrees. My spindle gouges, are at 30 degrees, and that's just my normal. Oh, coffee time. Are we good, Claude?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now, this machine weighs almost 800 pounds, and there's 600 pounds of ballast in here. So it's contact, whether it's intermittent or whatever. I really don't notice.
I found I had to sharpen more often.
Well, I sharpen often, so.
Cutting an intermittent to your friend.
Yeah. So this is actually going to be the inside of the bowl when everything's all said and done. I'm putting a tenon on it right now. the stuff that I make, I don't pay that close attention to the tenon, but the more accurate you make your tenon, the truer your piece is going to run. You know, just saying it. Theo, the wood turner has a thing where he believes that when the jar is about 3 mil closed, so that the gap between it was about 3 mil or 3/30 seconds or so, that's about the right size.
There's a bunch of those saws at the sale on Saturday also.
Now, you might be wondering, why the hell is his chuck red? I painted this for Sunapee. So that way, there's no mistaking.
So when you drop it in the Chevys, you can find it.
Yeah. Oh, my grub scoop is someplace. I'm not going to be reversed.
So when it came off, the reverse, is it because you slapped the reverse on without stopping the lathe?
No, I might have used the brake and then turned it on, and once it started wiggling, I wasn't quick enough to get to the stop and then the brake again, you know.
Too late.
Yeah, it was, once it goes, it's going quick. And I was so pleased. Jim Forbes turned me on to some abrasive called Ecosilk, and it's sold by Vince's Wooden Wonders. And I did a little research and came across the manufacturer, and it's a marvelous abrasive. It gets really nice finish, especially on finished products and stuff. But I was in the ultra fine sanding stage when I was doing that bowl, and it blew off.
So maybe a smart idea would be to turn the lathe off, wait for it to stop, then put it in reverse.
Probably. But some people use a brake.
That's not the Ron Marcoux way.
So now I'm going to make another tenon on this side, because this is going to be the bottom of the bowl.
Ron, why don't you cut both tenons at the same time? One from the headstock, one from the tailstock.
I could have, but I feel more comfortable the way I'm going.
Safer.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's just my approach. Like I said, I probably mount stuff twice, 3 times as much as real good turners. Okay? Again, how you get it done is almost irrelevant. Okay, what I'm showing you is how I do this. I'm not saying this is the best way. It definitely is not the only way. You have to take what you're seeing, take the theory that's there, and use it. And you can use it for all kinds of things. When I first started turning, the very first meeting I went to was at Merrimack High School, and Tim Elliott was there. And he showed me a friction drive. Basically just a piece of wood, put the wood up against it to make it go. Bango, I use that all the time with all kinds of stuff, but it's take what you're seeing and use it in any aspect you can. So on this side, I'm going to try to establish the material for the legs. So when you go to do a bowl with these turnt legs, and I don't know if you can see the lines in there, but that's the witness from how I mounted it. And usually with all of these, I leave that there. Just a personal thing that I like to be able to say, you know, you'd be able to say, hey, yeah, he actually turned it or whatever. It's just a thing. But when you do the legged feet, you want to think of more area than what you would normally do for a bowl. So if you had a 6-inch bowl, you would probably normally have about a 2-inch foot. When you start doing the feet, you'll probably be a 3-inch foot instead of a 2-inch, and so on and so forth. So
You gotta spread them out.
you got to spread them out.
A little bit.
Okay, and the further apart they are, the easier the total finishing process is. Okay, so I'm just going to blast stock away. So when you do the turning, what's going to happen is the inside of the bowl is going to come up to this edge here. Okay, and then the bottom is going to be everything past that. Now, Jim has a couple of that he did over there, and he does a kind of a deep thing into it. This shallow spherical shape is pretty much what I always do with the triangle bowls, turning a bowl from a cube, because I'm trying to use this outer profile actually where it comes out up here. So, you know, to get that corner. So this very corner, and Jim did too, just that mine are usually shallow. I haven't made too many deep ones.
I might suggest that when you're doing them, you want to try doing it. It's a lot of fun to try doing it. Use some masking tape on the corners to support the grain on the corners. It helps. Not only does it help the corners, but it also keeps the wood together.
Yeah, good idea. The sharp tools are critical. Okay, if you don't have a sharp tool, you're going to tear stuff out. Okay, so.
Ron, while you're making those stuff, because you might probably show
The what?
what the corners look like. Just as an example of why you use that tape.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, you know, the thing is, I haven't done it. I pay attention, but if you get hit this stuff, it's going to hurt. Okay, so keep your hands on this side of the tool rest. If I were by myself, I'd be turning a lot faster.
Meaning your lathe speed would be.
My lathe speed would be a lot faster.
Yeah, does that make it easier?
Yeah, because the faster it goes, less airtime it has, and actually cuts a lot easier. But from a safety standpoint, I'm going to be genteel. And all I'm doing is blasting material away. I'm gonna look at this to, I can get a 10 in there. I'm gonna go with a 2-inch 10 in. I'm probably gonna come down and, with the 3-legged thing, you don't have to have the thing round because you can use these areas as where your feet are gonna be. Come on. I'm using a skew that to establish the tenon. Now with real good turns and stuff,
So why do you need a 10 in at both ends?
this is going to be the bottom
So why do you need a 10 in at both ends?
to hold it. I did this tenon just to hold it so I could do this, okay? Like I said, I do stuff, I probably do a lot of extra stuff, but
Safe way to do it.
it's my approach. Let's put it this way, I've been turning now for just over 9 years, and just recently, within the last year, I've been using a parting tool and calipers at the same time. So my you know, I'm not as comfortable with a lot of stuff because in the metalworking industry, I'm a tool maker by trade, and you know, things can go bad real quick, and okay, so this is going to be the bottom. I'm going to work on the inside now. Oops. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going to try to ensure that it's sitting on the tenon and up against the shoulders and not being persuaded by this tailstock as to how it seats. And it's probably going to run out a bit, but it is what it is.
I don't know if the new turners understood what you were doing there.
Okay, when you have a live center, cone center, whatever, once it makes contact with it, it could keep it from centering. So I have this little piece that just pushed against the material to try to ensure that it sits up against the front face of the jaws. When you have a tenon, the most important thing is to make sure the front of the jaws are bottoming out on the piece. Okay? That's going to be your rigidity, you know, whatever. If you're grabbing a tenon, I don't know anything, well, if you're only grabbing on the tenon and the shoulder isn't up against there, you are looking for trouble. Okay? It really, the jaws have to hit up against a solid surface. I cannot emphasize that enough. Okay? Pardon?
The outside edge.
The front face. Here's some 3-inch jaws. That's about the right diameter to be a good fit. These are some I made, you know. But you want a shoulder that hits against that face. That is the key to having a good solid hold. Okay? Especially in bowl turning.
The depth of the tenon looks shallow.
You don't need a lot, okay? If you grab that little square platter, if you look at the tenon, the little recess in the bottom, you can pass that around. That's pretty much what I held to do that, okay? You know, you don't go wild.
So the chuck is really going to grasp it.
That was a recess. But basically, that's only what, 60,000 deep or so?
Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't. You don't need a hell of a lot unless you're doing some really rough turning.
Yeah. Explain run out for the newbies.
Oh, so if you watch this tenon, if this were Richard Raffin, he'd do this, put it in, this would run perfect. I doubt this does. Nope. Okay.
So why is run out important here?
On this one, it isn't that critical.
To hit the corners, maybe?
Ideally, if everything's run dead bag concentric, no run out, the corners will all be even and stuff.
If it's a perfect cube.
If it's a perfect cube. This was all done on a bandsaw.
You'll find one of the sides is a little bit thicker than the other. It wasn't the perfect cube. It was off by at least a 30-second or more.
So it wasn't run out, it was the cube.
It was a combination of.
Well, what ends up happening, even if it runs out a bit, if you get the wall thicknesses to come out even, the run out would be that one edge will be higher than the other. So I'm going to go and make the bowl, and it's going to be a shallow thing just like this, because when you do the feet gizmo, you need a spherical inner profile. This is important, okay? Because you're going to use a friction drive of a diameter to turn the feet. if you had a bowl like Jim made where they're kind of V'd or whatever, the three-legged thing won't work. Not my approach anyway. I'm sure there's a way it can be done, but not not the way that I do it. Okay, so any other questions? And I use the tailstock so much, almost all the time. So, in doing this, when I'm just roughing away, it's almost irrelevant where I'm looking. But when I get to the finishing stages, I want to watch the profile, okay? I want to see what the cutter is doing. I want to see how it's doing it. I want to see what the cutter is actually doing to the wood. Helps if it tightens stuff on. I don't think I'm the best model for turning. I'm usually pretty aggressive.
Show a close up of the extra corner of this incoming corner.
By having the tailstock up against here, I can be pretty aggressive and not worry about anything going wrong. If I didn't have the tailstock up against there, I can almost guarantee you I would have thrown this piece.
See through that. Let's see through this. I'm good. Don't worry about it.
So, yeah, that's the one I normally use, but it's pretty dirty.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Sorry. That one's not much better.
That one works.
I'm good. I'm not sure about the camera, but I'm good.
Well, I apologize. Okay, so as you're getting closer, this thickness right here will show you how much off you are as relative to what Jim was talking about. So when I'm over here looking at my cut, I'm watching the shadow, the ghost. Okay, I can actually see the very point. Okay, so I can tell I've got about half an inch right now. I'm going to be pulling the tailstock out of the way in a minute, but I'm going to blast a lot more material off before I do.
One of the things that I use in making an intermittent cut, whether it be a natural edge bowl or something like this, I went to Michael's and got a sheet of matte black cardstock. It's stiff, plastic-y type of stuff, and it's matte black. And I can slide a slip of that under the banjo, or over the banjo, and it really highlights that corner.
Sorry. So I'm doing all my roughing between centers, okay, with the tailstock in place. If I were this aggressive with just a tenon, I can guarantee you this would have gone flying. There's not a question. You know, if you're going to do that, then you definitely need a lot more of a tenon. So I do a lot of coring, and I have a ginormous steady rest that I use when I'm coring so that I don't throw pieces. Hey, let's put it this way. I started off coring with REM knockoff stuff of McNaughton. And then I got a one-way coring system. And I have two arms and things here, and I bent them. Now, when I do my large twice-turned bowls, I have a 3M positive. It's a VersaFlow positive air respirator. Okay, and I wear that, especially with ash, oak, but dry ash just seems to be very, very dusty and whatnot. I always have a fan blowing the stuff away from me, so you're all getting to breathe it for me.
Your beard's doing a good job of not letting.
Yeah, I'll tell you, my wife has this thing about, I oftentimes forget to brush off or blow off and stuff, so, yeah. So I'm still roughing away, and again, I'm just leaving the center on there just for stability reasons. Okay, let's take the center off and get to doing some fussy stuff.
How large are you leaving that for so you get all 3 lights in the back?
I haven't actually decided yet. This is a good sized cube. It's probably going to be probably 4.5 inch diameter. Okay.
So are you at a point now where you want to be?
This is the inside.
I know that. I'm looking at the other, trying to look at the other side.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, I would say that's geez, about 4 3/4 inches. I'm probably going to go to probably about 4 inches when everything's all said and done. Okay, so you can see the actual outer edge of the cube. Okay, so when I do the inside, I'm going to try to mimic that going down into my spherical inner shape, and then do a uniform wall thickness. But again, I'm just blasting stock away. And I sharpen often. Oops, sorry. I really should put my arm further back, but I don't like to rest that way. Like there's an alien over my shoulder. This is actually a bowl gouge, sharpened like a spindle gouge. So I have these, you know, usually when I'm working, I'm usually only using one size tool basically. Okay, so I have these little collars on here so I can grab whatever tool rest I grab, and it's set for height. Rikon, what is 7220 or something like that. And that was a 2S4, and I silver soldered, basically brazed a piece of tool steel on top of there. Kind of made my own robust. Like I said, a lot of the stuff I do, I make, so. Sorry if I'm getting you. Okay, so a skill that everybody should learn is how to pick up a cut, okay? When I first talk to people about turning, I tell them, present the tool, rub the bevel, and then once you start getting shavings, then you have your cut. Well, same thing holds true when you're picking up a cut. So this is actually a bottom feeder gouge that I made. It's made out of some A2, nothing fancy. So I can see I'm probably about 1/4 of an inch, 3/16 of an inch. Oh, actually more. Okay, so the difference on the thickness shows relative to how out of concentric it was. Another thing is that sanding, let's say that I've got an issue here, and now that this is at the point that it is, it can be difficult to really work at it. I don't get overly concerned about it because I'm able to correct it with sanding, okay? Like I said, I'm definitely not Richard Raffin or Stuart Batty or Jim Forbes, okay?
I use 80-bit tool bits also.
Yeah. Remember, this is a 3-horsepower lathe. The cutting I'm doing right now will stall at 1 horse. And as you're doing this, same thing with regular bowls and stuff, work a small area at a time, okay? The more mass that's left on the inside, the more rigid your piece is going to be.
the lathe off of, but I add a couple of points here. You notice when he was doing that cut, particularly out near the top, near the points, he was reaching over his lathe, and his right arm was moving up and down a bit with the cut.
Well,
If you are fortunate enough to have a headstock that moves all the way to the end of your lathe, then you can use your body to support that so it doesn't vibrate. Or David Ellsworth would just move the tailstock out of the way and climb up on the rails and use his body to support that tail end of the tool rest, of the tool handle, all the way through that cut, so there's no vibration, and you'd get a smooth cut that way.
well, that was true, but I actually have general tremors, so some of the shaking was neurological. So, but he's absolutely right. This headstock does move, and when I'm doing large bowls, so the way you rough out is irrelevant, okay?
Scraping was kind of a 1930s, 1940s type of turning, and I avoided it like the plague until I saw some of the work that you did with that Benjamin's Best, and I went out and bought myself a set of 3 Benjamin's Best, and I use them all the time. I just love them.
Okay, so I'll pass around my little half-inch scraper. Note the angle on the scraper. They say scrapers have a 20-degree angle or a 70-degree angle, whatever. Mine is more like 85 degrees. And with it being almost vertical, I honestly never get catches because it's not grabby, okay? And in reality, you can almost get a bevel rubbing cut. That's just my So does everybody know who Stuart Batty is? Okay, Stuart Batty and Alan Batty are 2 English turners. Alan is gone, but Stuart does demos and stuff. And I watched a YouTube video of him doing a demo, and he said something, and a light bulb went off. He says, negative rake scrapers like abrasives. Once he said that, I spend a tremendous amount of time doing negative rake scrapers. My negative rake scrapers are basically skew sharpened tools. And that's how I can use this way or that way. Depends on what side I sharpen. Okay, I can use it for the inside, I can use it for the outside. I have a whole bunch of them. This is the first brand name tool I've ever bought. This a D-Way tool, and I bought it for that purpose, to get a large radius. And that was from watching Richard Raffin. I can cut off this for now. So when I do sanding and stuff, I almost wet sand everything. It's just the way I do it, okay? So I use walnut oil as the medium, the liquid medium for wet sanding, but you can apply walnut oil to your piece when you're doing the shear scraping.
You're not getting a fine feather like Ron is getting when you're doing a scraping job, you're scraping and chopping. With razor sharp, you'll get that fine feather.
One thing that I found with this D-Way tool, it's M42 I guess, is I don't get a burr buildup. So I'm applying some walnut oil on here to hopefully make it easier to do the wings here. If it doesn't work out, I'll be able to deal with the sanding, but I'm hoping. Now when I get into delicate stuff like this, I slow down. The spindle speed, the lathe speed slows down.
In the kill zone.
Here's the bowl, there's no sanding on this. That's all, what did I do right, yeah. That's all shear scrape, inside and out. Let's get closer. But I'll tell you one thing, to get really nice pieces, you really have to get so you like sanding. There's no getting around it. Now this isn't going to work, I'm shaking. There's some tool marks just as it reached the solid material. So like when you're doing live edge bowls, that's not too bad. When you're doing live edge bowls, usually once you stop cutting air and you're into the solid thing, there's usually a definite obvious thing there. With the shear scraping, you spend more time with the shear scraping, you'll spend up less time sanding. That's my opinion. And that was from watching Stuart Batty. Once he said that think of negative scraping as abrasive. What a difference that made Okay, so I'm not going to worry too much about getting out to the end. I don't want to have a catastrophic failure. Now, normally, when I'm doing twice-turned bowls, at this point, I have a bunch of these cone things. Like I say, when I do roughed-out bowls, I just get the outside semi-round, get my tenon, mount it, concentrate on the inside. Then when I have the inside to what I want, I have these things, they can go up against here, up against it, and what they do is I don't have one for this right here, but what happens is it can support the outer edge and you end up not ending up with vibrations and whatnot. This isn't very conducive to that approach, but let's see if we can't. So now, all I'm looking to do is try to get my uniform wall thickness, and my thickness is going to be relative to whatever is the thinnest wing.
At this point, I would turn that around, jam it up against a support to support those three wings.
Well, that's
And keep it'll make it seem as though it's a solid piece that you.
yes. Well, that's where the cone things, but I don't have one that fits in here.
Take you 10 minutes to turn that.
So as much of an animal as I am, there are times where you just have to slow down. So I'm actually using a bottom feeder gouge, meaning it's ground at about 55 degrees. Okay. The upper end is fine. I'm going to try to get a uniform wall thickness along here. Ooh, I like it. I like it.
That's nice.
Better lucky than good. Okay, so now we're going to go into getting ready for doing the legs. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to square off the bottom here, and I'm going to put a mark, maybe 1/8 of an inch or so from the outer edge. Okay, and that mark, I'm doing with a little tool, put a mark in there, is going to be the outer edge of where the cup center is going to catch it. want to watch out for that. I just caught the chuck. So the gouge is actually 90 degrees. It's a completely closed flute just to get the point in there. Oops. Yeah. Make sure I have it on all three. All three wings. Yep. Okay, so now where I left as much meat on here, the legs are going to be nice, actually. They're going to be fairly long, a little tricky to complete, but there's a ridge right here, there, and that's what my I'm going to do something before I no, I only got to do one thing. I'll pass it around once I have it ready to turn. So this is going to be my driver. And what's important is that you have something that's round.
That's my armrest.
Yeah. So, let's see. Like I said, I make a lot of stuff that makes it look like I know what I'm doing, but I'll pass this around. And that basically just screws on there. And the important thing with the three-legged bowl is that you've got the internal cone. So that's going to push against the wood, and that's what's going to hold it. That is basically what I use for a lot of my smaller stuff. There's a walnut bowl over there, I think, with 3 legs, and I believe I use that smaller. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the bottom here so I can use something else that I made to mark off the bottom. And I'll pass this around then. Again, all I'm doing right now is taking stuff off. Yeah. Might not be small enough. There we go. Good enough. So you can divide it out with calipers and with dividers and whatnot, but I made this little gizmo here to help me divide it into 180 segments. Actually, I think I have some, maybe not. No, I thought I had some extras, but. No matter where it sits, it's a sphere touching a donut is gonna self-center itself. Okay, if it were tapered, then I'd have fighting actions and stuff. So with a lot of things, let's say that I wasn't able to get the corners come in smooth, you know, to be uniform and whatnot, I would work on sanding to get them so they're even. Okay.
Sanding off the lathe?
Off the lathe. I actually use a right angle grinder. Boy, it's high speed, but let me just grab it. I was doing some sanding this morning. Okay, and on this, I have, I don't know what these things are called, roll-locks or whatever, but it's, which is one of those little backing pads and whatnot, and I can put 3-inch or whatever on here, and I modified this one so I could do smaller things. But I used this morning to sand the bowl I did yesterday. You need a hefty compressor, and there's actually some yoga mat foam inside here to help me be able to feather the control of this. Now, these things turn at a very high speed, and the high speed isn't an issue unless you're putting pressure. If you put pressure in high speed, you're going to generate heat, and you're going to ruin the pad. You know. Okay, so I'm going to be using the outer little mark I have here for the outer edge of this, and the line is the center of the see if I can keep from doing the same thing what I did 4 years ago. I've had a lot more practice since.
Practice is good.
Yeah. Outer one, Ron. Now again, okay, so the outer edge, and then I just kind of eyeballed the center.
So you put the edge of the cone center.
Right on that outer edge. Now the thing is that if you don't,
The outer edge of your kerf you created?
yeah, the little line I put in there. The thing is that you have to be in some from the outer edge to get it to clean up. Trust me. Yeah. That didn't come by chance. I've done well, a long time ago, I did a couple that didn't quite clean up all the way around. So, okay. So this is where my almost 800-pound lathe and the 600 pounds of sand that's on here really comes into play. I did this demo for Seacoast up at Tom Kowalczyk's place, and it's on YouTube. They recorded and put it on YouTube, but it's extremely difficult to watch because everything is shaking. Okay.
Was the camera mounted to the lathe?
It's a second floor. It's a second floor shop, and for whatever reason, you know, the floor was shaking. It's just, trust me, if you go to look at it, you're going to get sick. Okay, so now, because I'm using the yoga mat, that's the only reason I would have to move the the tool rest. If I use something that was a little thinner as a cushion, then I probably wouldn't have to move the tool rest. But what I just did is I just marked, took a Sharpie and I marked theoretically where I can safely turn to, and I marked the tool rest relative. Okay? And now it's blasting stock away.
So you can take stock away up to that marker line.
Yeah, because you don't want to get too close to the other feet. Okay, and this is a case where I'll go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You know. So if this were on my little Rikon, even this fast would be really shaking. So you have a lot of material to blast out. Now I could have gone with shorter legs, which definitely would be a lot simpler. But I personally like the longer, I like long legs. You don't want to know by my wife, she's only like 5'4". These are going to be pretty long legs.
How did you gauge the depth?
Oh, I've got a long ways to go.
How did you gauge it? I know you have a long ways, but
I'm just going. The thing is, when you get close and this thing is spinning and you've got a lot of the material gone, you can actually see the ghost of the profile. Okay, so that gets real important at the end stage. But right now, I'm just blasting stock off. and basically just blasting a lot of material away. I can see there, I'm right at the edge of where the marker. I'm putting a longer handle on this. And rough out the third one. And like I said, I go back and forth. One thing though, this isn't a novice project. You definitely have to have confidence in your returning. It helps to be able to rub the bevel. Now again, this is a bowl guard sharpened like a spindle guard. Okay, so now what I'm looking at is I'm looking at the ghost. You can probably see it rather well, okay? So basically, at this point right here, if you're looking straight at it, you can actually see the profile. Okay, now it's a matter of creeping up to the depth. I made. Again, I'm just removing material. How I get there is almost irrelevant. And again, I go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. This is where you don't want to get too aggressive.
This is where the leg breaks off and
Well, I haven't had that issue. It's more of how far you go down relative to wall thickness. Okay, see if I would have gone down to a smaller area for the feet, I'd have more material over here. So like the little walnut bowl there was a lot of material, so I had a lot more of a witness to go to. This is going to be a little trick. Like that right there is almost at the right depth.
Ron, a funnel is a shape.
not what we're after.
Yeah. Sharpie sands off pretty easily. No skill in what I'm doing. It's just blasting material away. Well, let's not say there's no skill, but not much finesse right now. I got ways to go on that. So this is an Allen wrench that I modified as a negative rake scraper. There's nothing magic about this. It's just a matter of taking your time and looking at what's happening, what you're doing. I can go down to this. Okay.
Tell us what just happened.
Okay, so what I'm doing now is
You got 3 circles that came into a point,
well,
and you're looking for that point.
no. What I'm doing is I'm using the edge of the tool rest here to try to see that I'm somewhat centered on the 3 feet. Okay, that they go by about the same area. It's fairly close. What I'm trying to do now is take off some of this stuff. Okay.
What are you doing to keep the diameter of the feet approximately the same? Are you just
Eyeball. Practice. So I can't go and remove a lot of it, but I can turn a bit of it.
Got a cone center there that helps some guys go on the sides.
also you measure the cone?
Well, the cone center's right up against it.
The cone center is actually going to the cone center is actually what will set the diameter, the size of the foot. I want to get something.
Yeah, but what about if it's outside the bowl?
It's all wrong. What I'm saying.
Yeah, then, you know. Okay, so I put some marker on here to give me a idea of how much I can take off. Nothing's gonna hit. Now I won't be able to take a lot off, but every little bit I'm trying to get a better witness of the profile. So that way when I go to bring the legs in, the final steps, close enough. Oh, yeah. I'm just barely catching there. So, actually, I don't normally do this, but we'll give it a go. Now, Again, back and forth, back and forth. You eventually creep up onto it. If you're lucky, better lucky than good.
Ron, do you ever use an angle grinder or a die grinder?
Yeah, yep. I have an Automark that I've used. Automark is a power carver.
Might be a point where that comes in handy. Right, Gary?
Sharpen often. Okay, from looking at the profile, I can tell the outer edge here is kind of in line with it. We'll look at it in a second. Yeah. So if you have more of a bowl there, what ends up happening is, as you're cutting around the feet, you'll get the witness up against the bowl, or the profile of the bowl, the outer surface. What I'm trying to do right now is establish the bottom. Okay, so now I'm gonna pull this out. Get lucky. If you look, can everybody see this? That this and this are almost at the same level. Okay? That's pretty much as far as I'm gonna go on turning those two. I'm going to come back and clean them up and stuff, but as far as the depth, that's it. A lot of sanding.
How many sets of bows are you going later on?
Probably 20, 30. It's kind of a signature thing of mine. Yeah.
Signature is like 20.
Pardon?
It's a small signature if we've only done 20. That's 20 more than I've done.
20 more than I've done, too.
So I have stuff in a couple of. I'm not a jury league of a member of the League of Craftsmen.
Don't look at me.
Was the juror.
The thing is that every single piece I do, or quite a few of them, I can find flaws. And if I can find a flaw, they're going to find a flaw, so why freaking bother? You know, I don't need somebody to tell me how much of a butcher I am. So, the only thing that truly makes this possible is that inverted cone center. I like it. Okay, so now I'm gonna work on finishing the leg, and then now with a good bevel rub and cut, you can get a good finish.